I'm Janet Clark, and you are listening to the Sales Matchmaker podcast. Hello. This is Janet Clark. I am the Sales Matchmaker, and you are listening to the Sales Matchmaker podcast. Now, today I'm going to share with you the real reason why you're not closing more of your high-ticket sales. So, of course, you know that there are a lot of nuances to the sales process, and most sales experts love to dig into the psychology and the tactics of the actual sales conversation. And, if you search, you'll find that there's a lot of tips and tricks for getting people to say yes on your sales calls, which is great. But what most sales trainers aren't going to tell you, particularly the ones that are out there in the high ticket world, they're going to fail to mention to you how you're going to actually get people onto those sales calls in the first place. So this is where things have gotten really complicated in our high ticket coaching, consulting, service provider world. Because if you are one of those people, then you're most likely spending time, a lot of time, working on content, building your funnel, working on your ads, your social media, your Google, your live streams, your YouTube, you name it, even podcasts. Yes, podcasts, just like this one that you're listening to right now that I'm doing. And guess what? All of those things that we spend a lot of our time doing every single week are not sales activities. They are marketing activities, and they are not going to bring you qualified prospects to your sales calls. So there is really only one way to get your ideal prospects onto the phone with you or a Zoom call, people who are ready to buy from you. And that is through one-on-one relationship building. So all of these other things that we do are great marketing techniques. They are designed to be a one-to-many solution, right? To bring people into your pipeline, but they're not designed to take them to that next stage, which is to get them qualified to the point where they're ready to get on a sales call with you and actually buy your program or service. So if you want to close more sales, you have to make more offers. And in order to make more offers, you have to speak to more qualified buyers. And it's really that simple. But we tend to use all of these convoluted and complicated systems to keep busy and to feel like we're attracting more people, but we're really almost hurting ourselves because we are using our valuable sales time to write blogs or record videos or interview people on our podcasts, update our website, post on social media. And we do this with the intent of attracting our ideal clients. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing some amount of marketing, but marketing does not close sales. You do. And you need to talk to people in order to close sales. So if you're creating a whole bunch of content, you're not communicating and having conversations with people. Now, it occurs to me that some of you may be thinking, well, I can have a sales conversation on Messenger. And that is true to a certain degree. You can. And I know some people, and I've even done it myself, which have been able to close a high ticket offer on Messenger, but it's still a one-to-one conversation. So that's where I want to differentiate things. Now, look, it's taken me the last 7 years to finally get this. And it's not because I don't know how to sell. It's because I came into this world pretty naive, thinking that I would listen to all of those great experts that were out there. And I was totally influenced and convinced by online marketers that these were the things that I had to do. And this was the only way to make sales in the online world. And what I found out after going in a full circle here, because I used to do a lot of direct outreach, I found out that is not true. You can sell your high ticket, high transformation programs with very little marketing efforts. So as I look back over the evolution of my business, the Freedom Shift, I realize that the bulk of the sales that I have made over the last 7 years have not come through all of this content that I've created and automation and funnels and any of that. Those sales that I have made, and I've made a lot of them, have come through conversations that I've had, direct outreach with people that I've met through either social media or at an event, a face-to-face event. So the bottom line is that if you want more sales, you have to do more prospecting. So really, this is Sales 101. And it's exactly as I learned it when I started selling in my corporate days at AT&T. And that goes back quite a long way. But anyway, let's talk about prospecting. Let's talk about what it is and what it is not. So first of all, it is not podcasting. It is not live streaming. It is not YouTubing, as my grandson Brian likes to call it. It is not posting on social media. It is not hosting webinars. It is not building websites, and it is not writing blogs. So these are all marketing activities, and they have a place in your business. They are great for positioning you, building your authority and your expert status. And they all do have a function in your business. But I just want you to be really clear that there is a differentiator between marketing activities and sales activities. And many of us are overdoing the marketing activities and not doing the sales activities. So if you are not closing as many sales as you'd like, I bet it's because you're spending more time on these marketing activities than you are on sales activities. So marketing is the one-to-many outreach, which is good to bring a bunch of cold leads into your world, but to warm them up, to qualify them, and to move them to a sales call, you will need to nurture them through direct conversational outreach. So let's talk about what we call the 4 gears of marketing in our sales map program. And what these gears are the stages that we take our clients through that would make sense for growing sales within a business, because obviously that's what we help people do, right? We want them to get some sales, start getting a good amount of sales so that they can bring on a salesperson, so that that salesperson can start rainmaking for them, bringing on more revenue and more sales. So then they have money to invest back into their business so they can hire other members of their team. So what we say is that these 4 stages, they all start with C. They go like this. The first stage is conversation. The second stage is content. The third is collaboration. And the fourth is clicks. So let's talk a little bit about what this means. Too many service providers and coaches and consultants are skipping over step 1. They're skipping over the conversational outreach stage. But it really is the foundational step to building a multi-6-figure and even a 7-figure business. So one of my colleagues and one of our coaches has a thriving 7-figure business, which he has built totally using conversational outreach and continues to manage and run that business through conversational outreach. He fills his programs that way. And, okay, yes, he does have a website, but it's not something that he spends a lot of time on. And I actually think it's pretty outdated. And he actually will mention that sometimes himself. He does have a social media presence. He does have some promotional content, but he isn't spending the bulk of his time generating new content for his business. His primary focus is on conversational outreach. So look, when you have plenty of sales coming in the door and you can hire people to create and manage your content, then great. That's the next step in your process. Like Ryan Levesque, right? You guys know that I sell for him and I have been associated with him now for the last 3 years. When I started working with Ryan, he was selling his own programs. He was selling a high-end mastermind. And then as he moved beyond this selling it personally himself, he was able to bring on a sales team and other teams. And he now has a really big marketing team, right? I mean, he's a $10 million company at this point, and he has all four of these marketing gears in place. So he has a ton of content that's being created. He doesn't do it all himself. Like, he doesn't write all the content. It's being done for him by his team. He has the JV partners and the collaborations going on, so other people to promote him. And obviously he does ads and he has plenty of clicks coming through. But those clicks, those conversations are all generating more and more leads into his funnel that we can then engage in conversation with, so that we actually do have qualified people coming into the pipeline. But it all started with the one-on-one conversation. So that's the point that I'm making to you, because for most of us, we aren't at $10 million, right? We're getting to that $1 million point in our business, and we're working ourselves up through the multi-six figures. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that we're focusing on sales activities. We have to get people on the sales call so that we can actually close the sales, right? So ask yourself, how much time are you actually spending on the prospecting part of your business? So I want to go a little bit off and talk to salespeople, because I'm talking a lot to coaches and consultants, and maybe some of you salespeople who listen in to me on a regular basis are saying, yeah, this doesn't really apply to me. Well, it does apply to you. Because you know what? Maybe you're out there and you're thinking that, well, I'm a closer. I'm a high ticket closer, so I don't really need to learn this prospecting. Well, I have news for you. You do have to learn this, because the cost of clicks is skyrocketing. The quality of the leads is diminishing. And the era of Facebook ad prosperity is going to end. Mark my words on this. Now, how do I know this? Well, for those of you who know me, you know I'm not a kid, right? I've been around the block a few times, and I've lived long enough to experience the ebbs and flows of the economy. So I lived through the dot-com boom. And during those days, any salesperson with a bag could go out to any customer, and as long as they had an order form in that bag, they could make a lot of money, because sales was easy in those days. Everybody was buying into the dot-com promise, right? The big pie in the sky that we were all going to become millionaires. And we felt like we were then. And actually, a lot of us were, because we were making tons of money. But it crashed. It did crash. And if there were salespeople who didn't really know how to sell and they were just order takers, they ended up broke. Okay. So I also lived through the heyday of affiliate marketing, where you couldn't lose money as an affiliate marketer until Google changed the algorithms, and all of these people got crushed and went out of business. So look, it's cyclical. The economy is cyclical. Facebook is going to be the same. And there is something, though, that never changes. And that is that if you are a professional salesperson and you know how to prospect, how to build relationships, how to qualify buyers and close sales, you are a rainmaker, and you will always, always be able to make money. If you know how to do this, you are never going to be broke. And you are always going to be one of the elite salespeople because very few are good at it. And it's not because it's hard, it's just because people have mental blocks about it. And so it doesn't matter what the economy does or whether it's up or down. If you have these skills, you are going to be flying high. So look, last week I closed $54,000 in new business for SalesMap. And that was in December. I don't know when you're listening to this, but I'm actually recording it in December. And December is a month that is notoriously slow in the service industry, right? In our coaching and consulting world. And a lot of people expect that December is going to be a bust. However, I anticipate that by the end of this month, I will have closed well over $100,000 in new sales revenue for SalesMap. And here's the point. This has all been done through conversational outreach. So we have no ads. We have no webinar. We have no funnel. We have no website. Like literally, we have an outdated landing page that has some testimonials on it, right? We have a couple of documents that we created that we call our program blueprint or our educational report that we send out to people after we engage with them in conversation. So we know that by engaging the right people, our target client, into conversations, we are going to generate interest with them. We are going to be able to build up trust, and we are going to be able to nurture those relationships to the point where they will make an investment to work with us. And so we see this as part of our sales process. This is the business development. You can call it that. You can call it prospecting. You can call it conversational outreach, but it is a part of the sales process that we embrace. And you should too. So let's talk about this scary word prospecting, right? That many of you think is old school or it just doesn't work anymore. Well, the truth is that prospecting is very relevant. It is very relevant to you as a salesperson. It is very relevant to you as a coach or a consultant or a service provider. And it is easier than ever to do it now, particularly with platforms like LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn was developed to be a business networking platform. Now, when I started selling back in my AT&T days, there were no calls booked on my calendar unless I booked them there myself, right? I had to go out and I had to literally build my own book of business. And I did that by going to networking events, doing direct outreach. Sometimes I would sit down and just make cold calls, right? I would attend trade shows and conferences. I used my warm network to ask for referrals. And I would sometimes even get all dressed up and go knock on doors in offices, office buildings, right? So I've done it all. And that was kind of hard, particularly compared to what I do now, which is sit around in, my flip-flops and shorts and a t-shirt and sit at my computer and connect with people online. It's as simple, really, as knowing how to leverage social media, and particularly LinkedIn, which really, as I said, it's meant to be a business networking platform. So look, you have to become a hunter. And if you want to be an elite salesperson, you have to know how to do prospecting, because they're not going to come and find you. You have to go out and find them. So if you're a closer and you refuse to hunt, then you are stunting your own growth. You are limiting your own ability to become a very high paid salesperson, because inbound demand is going to decline. Only the top echelon of providers are going to be able to have the money to invest in that kind of marketing that has all four of those components built into it. And there's not going to be enough work for all the salespeople to sell for those high-level people. But there are thousands and thousands of other coaches and consultants, service providers, agency owners who are building their businesses who need you to come in and help them grow their business. And you will need to be able to do some prospecting in order for that to make yourself valuable to them. So if you don't want to see your income diminish, then you should learn how to do this prospecting. Otherwise, I guarantee you, you're going to end up finding yourself with a very low paid job as an order taker or a customer service rep, because the people on the other end of a preset phone conversation are not going to be the high level elite salespeople. So those of you who do know how to do prospecting are going to flourish, and you are going to make the big bucks. So look, here's my questions to you. Can you build a coaching business from scratch? Can you build a book of business from nothing? Can you fill your own pipeline online? And my answer to all those things is yes, you can. Will you is another story, but I'm going to tell you how I'm going to help you if you want to do that. So we've created an opportunity at SalesMap that you aren't going to want to miss. So what we've done is we've taken a program that we originally sold for $3,500 and then increased to $7,500. And we've turned it into a 2-week experiential learning opportunity, which we call a boot camp. And we've reduced the price to $497. So there is no way that anybody who's listening to this right now, who truly wants to be able to generate more sales, would not be able to come in and do this. Now, you will have to be intense for 2 weeks, because we're going to take you through this process. We're going to hold your hand and we are going to show you exactly how to do this. And if you don't believe me that we're offering this for $497, you can go to www.fillyourpipeline.online and check it out for yourself. So look, this is for you if you are a salesperson who wants to learn our process and get matched with our clients. Because as you know, that's what SalesMap is all about, right? We have clients who need salespeople, but we need the salespeople who we match them up with to know our process. So if you're a salesperson, you stand to gain a lot, because not only will you be making yourself more valuable in general with your experience level and your professional development, but you will also be able to get into our world and potentially be matched up with one of our clients. Now, if you're a coach or a consultant or a service provider or agency owner, and you want to generate more of your own high ticket sales, you also do not want to miss this, because this is an opportunity for you to go in there and work on your own business, to generate leads for your own business, to get more sales going for yourself. So this is going to be a crash course. It's a crash course in prospecting, and it's experiential, which is absolutely the best way to learn. So we're not going to just give you access to a portal and say, okay, go take our training course. No, this is actually an experience we're going to take you through for 2 weeks, and you are going to build this prospecting muscle that you really need in order to be great at increasing your sales. So I wanted to let you know that this is a crazy off the wall offer. I don't even know how else to explain it. We really bantered around a lot about whether this even made sense to do, but we're doing it. And so you should jump into it if you're listening to this. And hopefully if you're listening to it down the road sometime, it's still being offered. But I think it will be, because so far we've had like some unbelievable response to this. So you can get more information by going to www.fillyourpipeline.online. fillyourpipeline.online. Or as always, you can, anytime you want, you can reach out to me at janet@salesmap.me or through Facebook or any other way you can get to me. I'm out there on all the platforms. So I love to hear from you if you have questions, but it's pretty simple and straightforward. So that's it for today's episode. Now you know the real reason why you're not closing more high ticket sales and what to do about it. And I really hope that you recognize that in our industry, high ticket sales is the key, right? Being able to sell a high ticket offer. And I consider the word sales to be an acronym for sharing a life enhancing solution. So if you want to make a bigger impact and you want to do more sales and you want to share a life enhancing solution with more people, then let's do this together. So that's it for this week. Bye for now. And I will be back next week with another episode of The Sales Matchmaker. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Sales Matchmaker podcast. To hear more episodes, visit us at www.thesalesmatchmaker.com.